The government recognizes the importance of diversifying the economy, as Bermuda must attract new sources of revenue. Islamic finance, asset management, and green initiatives are all part of a new and enhanced model. In its exploration of new frontiers, the government is keen to establish a Bermuda Space Enterprise Zone and a communication orbital slot, which will strengthen Bermuda's promotion as a global telecommunications hub. Madam President and members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, the unrivaled beauty of these islands is a special gift of which every Bermudian is justly proud. It's a gift shared with thousands of visitors each year, one which helps to provide a livelihood for Bermudians and for guest workers. Given the context of today's environment, the government will update and modernize the Hotel Concession Act at all times, keeping Bermudians in the picture for jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities. The Department of Tourism, in the short term, will adopt a set of strategic initiatives to address the industry's immediate needs, while Bermuda's long-term national tourism plan is being developed. The initiatives include the launch of a new tourism brand, the start of a program of corporate games, the reintroduction of college weeks, a scheme to convert cruise visitors to air visitors. A further option is consideration of a referendum on whether Bermuda should allow gaming. The government also recognizes that more must be done to promote local entertainment. Many of you have already attended some of the bi-weekly tourism events during this summer, which showcased Bermudian entertainment. A signature entertainment product is being developed that will headline Bermudian entertainers and provide them with work, especially in hotels where hiring Bermudians is a precondition for securing concessions from government. There has also been a constant refrain that there are not enough activities in Bermuda to occupy our visiting guests. As a result, the Department of Tourism will approach cruise directors, cruise operators, and entertainment promoters to increase and promote the number of activities and events available on the island. Madam President and members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, the government has listened attentively to the views of the community it serves and the challenges facing those who are struggling to cope with rising prices. Accordingly, the government aims to implement the findings of the Price Control Commission, including updating the relevant legislation, if this is considered necessary, to alleviate some of the hardships being endured by Bermuda's consumers. This exercise has begun and is intended to be a collaborative effort between suppliers, retailers, and consumers. One cost that impacts all households and businesses is the fuel surcharge. The new Energy Commission is examining that concern, and the government awaits its findings. Madam President and members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, providing the mechanism for creating jobs and getting our unemployed back to work is indeed a priority. This reduces the strain on our helping agencies, such as the Department of Financial Assistance. However, we must also assure our citizens that there will always be assistance for those who are experiencing hardship. Many will recall that the occupational pension legislation was amended to allow persons in financial distress to access their pension entitlements to meet certain financial obligations. Government employees are not immune to those same hardships, and the government will amend the Public Service Superannuation Act of 1981 to extend similar allowances to participants in the scheme. Further, the government will also be modernizing the Contributory Pensions Act of 1970 to ensure that those in need receive the greatest benefit. Doing more with less, we have to make the best use of available resources by focusing on the most important goals. The proposed amendments are twofold. First, the legislation will be amended to implement means testing with respect to the payment of non-contributory benefits as opposed to entitlement as a right. Second, the Act is to be amended to mandate that self-employed persons who consistently neglect paying their pension contributions without presenting a valid reason will be denied a non-contributory pension. Everyone who is gainfully employed must contribute their fair share. In addition, the government will amend the Contributory Pensions Act of 1970 to prevent an employer with pension contribution arrears relating to a prior business from registering an additional business with the Department of Social Insurance unless the arrears have been settled or an agreed payment plan is being properly maintained. Madam President and members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, a critical component in the fight to reduce gang membership is preserving and strengthening the family unit, regardless of whether or not both parents live in the same home. The government will provide the Bermuda Family Council with a statutory footing. The Council's aim is to promote family cohesion through the development of effective parenting skills. Also in support of families, the government will establish shared parenting legislation which will seek to avoid bias and provide parents with equal rights and responsibilities when it comes to the welfare of their children. Seniors will be the focus of a Bermuda national strategy on aging. Amendments to the Human Rights Act will be tabled to eliminate age discrimination. Government will introduce elder abuse legislation and health insurance reforms. One such reform that is already being addressed is the matter of upfront payments for medical treatment. Such payments are a source of hardship to many seniors and others. No one who is paying for health insurance should have to forego medical attention because they cannot afford to pay a physician up front and then wait to be reimbursed. The seniors are still listening. The government is also reviewing the eligibility criteria for financial assistance so that seniors owning their own home are not automatically excluded from access to financial assistance. This review has been prompted by some anomalies in the strict application of the eligibility criteria, which are seen as unduly punitive. The government recognizes that this is a time when there is a need to ensure the appropriate safety nets are in place for those who are unable to work and to provide for themselves. The mere fact of home ownership may not justify the denial of financial assistance. In keeping with its track record of dealing with sometimes controversial social issues, your government will also be tackling discrimination. While the government is aware of the sensitivities in the community surrounding sexual orientation, it does not condone discrimination in employment and accommodation based on a person's lifestyle choices. Accordingly, government will assess whether it is feasible to introduce an Equality Act. Your government believes that effective philanthropy must always ask three questions. First, what needs to be done? Second, how can we make a difference? Finally, and most importantly, why are we doing this? Bermuda has a number of excellent charities striving to assist in building a better community and a better world. However, in the present environment of fiscal tightening, the government as well as the business community has reduced the amount of grants to charitable organizations. The government will be formalizing social pacts with the private sector and the various charitable and sports organizations to examine how to make better use of the limited resources. This is the social contract in action. Madam President and members of the Senate, Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, I would like to turn now to the subject of education. This is one area of national development whose critical importance has never been in question. In the words of the ancient Greek philosopher Diogenes, it is the foundation of every nation. During this year's national budget debate, the Minister of Education said, "Our plan for education reform is simple. It is as simple as a return to basics. Our plan is to focus single-mindedly on the reason for our existence, to teach our children so that they might learn. Our priority and everything that we do will revolve around students. Everything that we do will be geared to and with the sole purpose of impacting positively on our students. As the most important stakeholder in our education system, they will occupy the primary position in our thinking, our plans, and our programs as we work to revive public pride in our public school system." To this end, the Ministry of Education has consulted the affected parties regarding amendments it proposes to introduce into the House of Assembly to bring Bermuda in line with international best practice. The amendments to the Bermuda Educators Council Act of 2002 will require that persons who instruct, support, and guide students in Bermuda, whether public or private, are fully qualified to do so in Bermuda and around the world. These amendments will ensure that teachers are certified by subject or specialization and by teaching and educational level. The planned amendments will mean that educators at all levels, in the classroom, in administration, or both, will be required to be registered under the Act. Educators will have to meet the requirements relevant to the role that they are performing in schools in order to obtain and to maintain their educator certification. If principals are the gatekeepers, then teachers are the front line, the soul of our education system. It is they who must turn our students into scholars excited about learning by delivering knowledge in an engaging, stimulating, and motivating manner. 21st century learners need 21st century teachers who not only possess 21st century literacies themselves, but who can also create the learning environments that will enable their students to develop such skills. The government believes that these changes will give parents, schools, and the wider community confidence that those charged with educating Bermuda's students meet set qualification standards and keep abreast of the relevant and up-to-date educational strategies. Consideration is also being given to the formation of career academies in Bermuda's public school system. This initiative, which is also part of the Job Corps and Workforce Development Plan, will see the island's business and education sectors working together to agree on and to develop programs that will meet the future needs of the economy. This will operate in tandem with measures that the government will be taking to augment the existing technical skills training so as to provide alternative pathways to success for our young people. The government is keen to assure that those who wish to pursue such a course are prepared fully to seize the employment opportunities. No one should have any excuse to choose a dead-end life of crime instead of a constructive role of opportunities and growth that contributes positively to their community. The Ministry of Community Development, which includes the Department of Cultural Affairs, is said to have the smallest budget, but a significant and critical job to stem the erosion of Bermudians' cultural identity. Just recently, Mrs. Michelle Obama, First Lady of the United States, eloquently expressed the role of the arts. She said, "It is through our music, our literature, our art, drama and dance that we tell the story of our past and we express our hopes for the future. Our artists challenge our assumptions in ways that many cannot and do not. They expand our understandings and push us to view our world in new and very unexpected ways."